Hello, people of Ascension and everyone else listening out there. I've grown weary of hearing about the coronavirus, so I'm just not going to talk about it. Instead, I'm going to talk about Jesus and his resurrection from the dead. I hope that's okay with you. And as a disclosure, I'm pretty much just regurgitating what I heard from a sermon Tim Keller preached on Easter in 1997, which was awesome. I'll put a link to it in the comments below if you'd like to check it out. The text I'll be pulling from is Luke 24, verses 1 to 12, if you'd like to open it up. I have three errors we humans make when we talk about Easter. Number 1, the miracle. 2, the meaning. 3, the spiritual reality, and I'll explain more as we go along here. But number 1, it was miraculous. The women, however, came to the tomb expecting to find a dead body. They were not yet believers. The angel said to them, "Why do you seek the living among the dead?" It was a joyous rebuke. They came thinking the grave would be full. They came with heavy hearts as if to mourn the dead. There are many ways that you and I can treat Jesus as if he were dead. You can believe in him as a great moral teacher and as just another founder of a religion. Oh yeah, I really respect his teachings. They were great, and I try to follow them. But I can't believe that he actually rose from the dead. I'm a modern person. I believe in science and reason. I can believe that Jesus spiritually rose from the dead, perhaps, but not literally, not physically. If you treat Jesus like all the other founders, the truth of his teachings marches on, but he doesn't. Luke addresses this mistake. It has always been difficult to believe. In the Greco-Roman world, people believed the body to be bad and the spirit good. A physical resurrection would have been ridiculous. It was every bit as ridiculous then as it is today. And here's how Luke addresses it. He mentions names. First, you have Mary Magdelene, who was a prostitute, by the way. Joanna, who was the wife of King Herod's household manager. And Mary, the mother of James. These actual women actually saw the resurrected Christ. They were witnesses to it. And if that weren't enough, Jesus appeared to the 12 apostles and then to at least 500 more of the disciples at the same time. Luke wrote this book about 25 years after the resurrection. Okay, now let's imagine here for a second. What were you doing 25 years ago? I'll give you a moment to think about that. What were you doing 25 years ago? Some of you weren't born yet, so don't worry about it. But let's say, for example, Billy Graham died in 1995. And then he rose from the dead and walked around for 40 days talking to people and preaching. Then someone published a book about it this year in 2020, and you read it. Would you believe it? Would you believe Billy Graham rose from the dead? Just from reading the book. There's no way, right? You wouldn't make up your mind until you visited the place where he appeared and inquired of the people to find the evidence. And if no one in that town confirmed this resurrection, the book wouldn't go anywhere. It wouldn't sell. It would be chalked up as fiction and swept into the dustpan of history. No one would remember it. Thousands of people died confessing Jesus as the resurrected Lord and King. Do you think all these people just read a book? No way. They most likely had to see for themselves and hear from the eyewitnesses. And there have been dozens of groups before Jesus and after Jesus that have believed their founder is really God. Their following usually dies off in a generation or two, except for perhaps a handful of emotionally needy people. If thousands upon thousands came to faith in the resurrected Jesus, there had to have been some very compelling evidence. Treating Jesus as if he were dead is this first error when interpreting Easter, failing to believe it was miraculous. Number 2, not understanding its meaning. This happens when you don't understand his death. The angel said that Jesus must die. That means he must be delivered in the hands of sinful men. He must be crucified. He must rise again. The women knew Jesus had died, not that he had to die. The women knew Jesus had died, not that he had to die. This is an important difference. They knew he suffered in a general way and sacrificed and showed integrity through it all. His death to them was just another example of him being a great man. Is your understanding of Christianity to live like Jesus and for Jesus? Did he die as an example, or did he die as a substitute? Living like Jesus and for Jesus is not enough. The way to know this is if you live in self-pity. You say, oh, life isn't fair, God isn't fair, I'm a victim of circumstances. That is, you think you deserve a better life than the one you are currently getting. The other way is self-loathing or self-abuse. When you're criticized, you say, I'm such a failure, I need to do better. This is a belief in spiritual inferiority. If only I could be better and do better for Jesus. Both of these are a form of self-righteousness and fly in the face of the meaning of Christ's death. Jesus took on the wrath of God, and he suffered the punishment we deserve as our substitute, not our example, thus earning our salvation. You see, you and I, we cannot earn our salvation. Christianity and every other world religion are different things. Christianity and religion are different things. We are saved by grace. We are saved by Jesus' sacrifice to us, not our service to him. So, we fail to understand Easter when, 1, we deny the miracle, and 2, believe in Jesus' death as an example, not a substitute. Finally, we fail to understand Easter when, number 3, it doesn't create a new spiritual reality in us. This happens when your relationship with Jesus looks like he is actually dead. Sure, intellectually, you may believe he actually lived, died, and bodily rose from the dead, but there is no spiritual transformation, no spiritual reality. This is like going to your loved one's grave, putting some flowers on it, remembering them, and maybe even talking to them as if they were alive, but really knowing that they're dead. It's okay. It's a somber occasion. The women at the tomb, they did this. They walked with spices to the tomb to anoint a dead body. They were looking for a dead Jesus. The angels were like, you're looking in the wrong place. He's not here. He's risen. Now go find him. Go look elsewhere for him. They might have come to the tomb walking, but I bet they left it running. You see, you have to taste and see that Jesus has risen. You have to go and see. Easter pushes you beyond an intellectual assent to some doctrinal truths into a deep, intimate, knowing, and abiding relationship. There's a difference between, I know who Jesus was and what he did, and I know Jesus. I know him. The women left the tomb to seek the risen Christ, to really know him, and to experience him. And if you don't know Jesus in this way, the risen and alive and set loose in the world Jesus, I challenge you to make a point of doing so by next Easter. You see, Jesus, he is alive, and he loves you. Look for him. God bless your day.